$10. But it was fun. I got to tell you, Larry, I've watched all 50 Super Bowls. I'm sure you've watched all 50 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
This was one of the most boring Super Bowls I've ever seen. 111 million people apparently watched it. I feel sorry for the 111 people, including you and me, because even in the games that like 2 years ago was 43-8, there were some big plays. There was some excitement. There was almost nothing here. It was like
except for the defense.
What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, except for the defense, there wasn't a whole lot. There weren't big plays. There weren't exciting moments. And look at Peyton Manning. I mean, he goes out with a championship in a game where he throws for 141 yards. I mean, he did just enough to get the job done, and more credit to him because of his injuries and his age and everything else. But that wasn't exactly a fascinating quarterback performance by either of those guys on Sunday.
Cam, of course, said, show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser. I'm sorry, Larry. You don't walk out of the media room just because you lost the game. 2 years ago, Russell Wilson lost the game on the last pass. Last year, on the last pass, he didn't walk out. He talked to the people. He talked to the media. And I'm disappointed in Cam Newton. He thinks that he can get away with it. A lot of people are not going to ever forget it, I don't think. What are your thoughts? I think we lost Larry. So you can give us a call, 909-888-1050.
I thought we lost you.
Oh, have you lost me? I've lost you.
I lost everything. But
you know what, folks? Larry and I don't think neither of us would be considered computer geniuses, and we're doing this on Skype, and Skype is not necessarily 100% working all the time. So we
exactly friendly to us at times.
But we're not going to walk out like Cam Newton did. We're going to attempt to get through the hour as best we may, because we believe you might enjoy the show, and we believe we're going to try. We're going to keep trying, and all Cam Newton had to say, Larry, all he had to say was, "I had a bad game. The team had a bad game. I hope we're back next year. We'll do better." How hard is that?
Well, and it reminded me a lot of the game faces that Kobe Bryant used to put on sometimes in the playoffs. And he put on that mean face, and he'd want to show you how intense he was and how involved he was. And I don't know how much of that was for show and how much of that was genuine. And I get it that Cam Newton didn't like losing, and he didn't like not having the perfect season. He didn't like playing poorly in the Super Bowl game. But part of your job is to meet with the media, whether you win or lose. And the quality players in the league do that, and they handle their responsibilities. And the one thing I noticed, Fred, and I don't know if you did or not, it usually in post-game situations like that, they've got one podium, and they bring up the players and the coaches individually from each team.
Right.
It sounded as though there was a Denver press conference going on at the same time that Cam was talking nearby, because I was having trouble hearing him because one of the Denver players, I think it was Harris, was talking at the same time and talking about how Cam didn't do anything that hurt us. And maybe that distracted him. I don't know. But listen, the guy had a fantastic season. He did not have a good Super Bowl, but part of the job is to meet with the media and talk about what happened and what didn't happen. And he just dropped the ball, so to speak, when it came to the post-game interview.
Now, anybody who's known me through the years know my politics. But I think Cam, again, is adding to the fact that there's a racial overtone to the folks that are upset with him walking out. And yeah, there's a small percentage of that because racism certainly is part of this country. It always has been part of this country. But I really don't think the majority of people are upset with him because he happens to be African American. I'm going to repeat what I said a second ago. Russell Wilson took the loss on that last pass last year. He didn't walk out. He talked like a gentleman. He talked and he answered the questions. And Larry, I never played professional sports, neither did you, but I've lost games growing up in high school, and certainly not heard by as many people, but we were asked questions for the newspapers after the game. We had the guts to answer the questions if we lost. And believe me, we didn't always win. Right. And believe me, I I'm an aggressive person as far as wanting to win. And so it was hard to lose a football or basketball game. But if it's 16 or 17, you can say it. At 26, you ought to be able to stand there tough and just take the question.
And particularly when you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and that's part of the job description. And I'll take it a step further, and I don't think it had anything to do with race whatsoever. I don't think he did a good job of setting an example for his team in that game. We saw him smiling all season long when things were going well, but when things went bad in this game, we didn't see the smile, and we didn't see the poise. And we didn't see all the good attributes that we saw during the season. And I really thought the team was looking to Cam Newton to set an example and say, let's rally, guys. Let's pull this all together. And I saw none of that in Sunday's game from Cam Newton.
Well, let me ask you a question. They're down 16-10, 4 minutes to go. He fumbles the ball.
Yeah.
Why didn't he dive for it? I mean, I can understand if he had a shoulder injury. Outside of that, one touchdown wins the game. Don't you have to dive for the ball?
He said that didn't lose the game for them, but in effect, it did lose the game for them. And he also said that his leg was at an awkward angle, and he thought if he dove in that he would get himself hurt. I'm sorry. You're in the Super Bowl. You're within striking distance. You got 4 minutes left in that game. You dive in there, and I don't care if you're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", or 5'4". You dive in there and try to get the ball back for your team, and he didn't do it. And I think that's that lack of leadership that we didn't see from him in this game that we saw throughout the regular season.
And it's too bad because he is the MVP. He won the MVP Saturday night. But people are going to remember that, not diving for the ball, and remember him walking out of the press conference, the media conference. It's going to overshadow the great season that he had, and it's too bad. I mean, it really is. Now we're waiting for next year, hoping he gets back there, and let's see if he shows more guts. Maybe they lose again. I'm not wishing him to lose again. I want to see him grow up. I guess that's the bottom line. And as you just said, and I think it's a good point. People say, well, money doesn't play any role here. Well, it does. I mean, it really does, because the average person who's trying to survive and pay the electric bill. Now you see a guy making millions of dollars in endorsements and millions of dollars to play a game that we'd all love to play professionally, and he doesn't sit through the entire media conference, and it just lack of something. And whatever it is, it hurt me, and I think it hurt a lot of sports fans.
Well, that's what everybody was talking about. That and Peyton Manning going out possibly as a winner, but that overshadowed a lot of what happened for Carolina during the year and the great season that they had and the great season that Cam Newton had. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl, and we'll talk about some of the odds for next year's Super Bowl and who might be in it. We'll also talk about the Lakers. They stink. But Kobe, well, he's headed to his final All-Star game. Blake Griffin, he's going to star in Breaking Bad Clipper style. You're tuned to Open Season. Stick with us.
Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511. Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial Special is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511.
If you're trying to prevent home foreclosure, you need a law firm with extensive experience representing clients in protecting their homes from foreclosure. The Goodman Law Firm is a nationwide team of mortgage mitigation attorneys that provides legal advice and expertise you can trust. Our nationwide network includes local of-counsel foreclosure attorneys to represent you during the mortgage mitigation process. The Goodman firm has represented homeowners across the nation in resolving their troubled mortgages. We have the experience and the knowledge you can count on to best represent your interests. The banks have attorneys fighting to protect their interests, and so should you. Call the Goodman Law Firm at 888-800-6030. Take control of your mortgage situation today. Contact us at 888-800-6030 or through our website at arnoldgoodmanlaw.com.
All right, back once again on Open Season. Larry Burnett and Fred Wallen. We're holding down the fort. Mark Mad Mancini out on assignment. And hopefully he'll get a chance to check in before the program is over. We've been talking about the Super Bowl, and when you look for an element that was exciting, Fred, I thought it was the Denver defense, the 7 sacks, the 13 quarterback hits. You put it together with their game against New England. They had about 35 quarterback hits in 2 weeks against two of the best teams in the NFL, and there's not a whole lot of defenses that can do that once, let alone 2 weeks in a row. I was really impressed with Von Miller, and you got to give a pat on the back to Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator. This is a guy who's had great success as a coordinator and assistant, not so much as a head coach, but I think there are some people who are meant to be head coaches and some people who are meant to be assistant coaches, and this seems to be the niche for Wade Phillips right now.
We could call it the Lane Kiffin Award for assistant coaches. I agree with you. And you wonder if the second week could have helped both teams, obviously. But the way the defense played for the Broncos, maybe that second week really helped because Wade Phillips had more time to think of how we can stop the most valuable player in the National Football League in Cam Newton, and they certainly stopped him. And again, Ted Ginn did not drop a touchdown pass in the end zone. However,
wondered when you'd get to that.
However, Cam did overthrow a couple of guys that in the past or during the season he probably would have hit. So I don't know if he felt the pressure. People, you don't want to use the word choke, but sometimes certain people, when it gets down to it, in the key game of the year, do choke, and some people don't. And Peyton Manning, up until this one, has won one Super Bowl in all of his opportunities. At Tennessee, they never even won the Southeastern Conference. They didn't use the word necessarily choke with Peyton Manning, but they certainly didn't say he was necessarily a winner in the postseason, either on the collegiate side or the pro side of it. Right. There are certain other guys, like Tom Brady, who maybe without the best team has won a few times where he shouldn't have won. And, I mean, there is a difference. I mean, it's a God-honest truth. I mean, there's certain people that are just built for key situations, and there's certain people that emotionally, psychologically, can't handle it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the elephant in the room right now. If I'm Peyton Manning, I'm taking my Super Bowl trophy and I'm going off into the sunset. But there's talk about he might continue. There's talk about how the new Los Angeles Rams might be interested in Peyton Manning, to the point where Magic Johnson was on with Jimmy Fallon last night, along with Peyton Manning, and he was openly recruiting Manning to come play for the Rams. Listen, I don't want to see him do what Johnny Unitas and Joe Namath did, to come out here to die on the West Coast. I don't want to see him go out with the championship, but what are you thinking about that?
I don't want a 40-year-old quarterback. I'll go for a younger guy at any point, any time. If you're watching on Skype, Sports Illustrated already has next year's records for the National Football League. In their opinion, they've got the Rams going 7-9. I don't think you're going to do better than 7-9 with a 40-year-old quarterback. I think you go young, you stay young, and you simply hope for the best. And I think you just go in that direction. I don't want to, and I think again, he's just about done.
Oh, yeah. Listen, he was lucky to get through that game, and I think the 2 weeks actually helped him to get ready for that game. You talk about next year, Super Bowl 51. Mark it on your calendars, Sunday, February 5th, 2017 in Houston, Texas. Now, the Westgate in Las Vegas, setting the odds for next year, have the Patriots, the Seahawks, and the Steelers as 8-1 picks. I'm getting a call on my electric bill. Do you get these ridiculous calls about solar energy? I get them all the time. I've got to stop. Please stop. Thank you. Don't ever call me again. I try to be nice to these people. I tried. I said, I realize you have a job to do, but I'm not interested. Please take me off your calling list. They get belligerent. They call all the time. And finally, I'm just totally annoyed. But let me get back to the point here.
All right.
This live radio is fascinating stuff, isn't it, Fred?
Yeah.
Patriots, Seahawks, Steelers, 8-1 picks next year. Cards, Packers, and Panthers in a group at 10-1. Bengals and the Broncos at 14-1. And then you have the LA trifecta, the Rams, Chargers, and Raiders all in a group at 50-1. And all the way down to the bottom, the Browns at 200-1.
Let me just say this. Anybody who's into gambling understands this. The vigorish on a regular bet, 11-10 works out where you need to be 52.3% of the time you need to be right to come out even. The vigorish on these future books, Larry, are 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. If the Cleveland Browns, did you say, are 500-1? What did you say?
200-1.
They should be 2,000-1. You understand what I'm saying? No, I'm not trying to be funny, but that's how they make their money on these future books. Because
right.
and if they got Seattle at 6-1, they should be 12-1. And if they've got the Steelers at 6-1, they should be 12 or 14-1 or 20-1. All I'm saying is the vig on those folks. Just be very cautious. Straight bets. Fine, 11-10, you got a shot. Even if you bet a parlay, sometimes the vig isn't that big, but the vigorish, the percentage that the house keeps on these future books, so great, it's beyond belief. But the three that you mentioned, between New England, Seattle, and Pittsburgh at the top, with Rawls coming back, running back, the way he ran after the injury.
Right, and without Lynch.
Right. I would take Seattle of those three to have a shot. Because, again, Russell Wilson's only going to get better, and Brady's getting up there in age. And their wide receivers, the Patriots, certainly aren't great. Of the three, I would lean towards Seattle of those three clubs.
Yeah.
To have the best shot.
At least until I see what kind of off-season moves they make. And I think there's going to be quite a few. I thought this was interesting. I saw it on ESPN. Peyton Manning and John Elway were both drafted first overall by the Colts in different cities. Both had the same number of postseason and Super Bowl wins, 14 postseason, 2 Super Bowl wins. Peyton surpassed Elway as the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl, and he could join him as the only Hall of Fame quarterbacks to win Super Bowls in their final start, depending on whether that was his final start. And now Manning, with 200 wins, broke the tie with Brett Favre for the most wins by a quarterback all time, including postseason. So some interesting comparisons along the way. Let's switch over to basketball here for just a little bit. The Lakers lost in Cleveland last night. Man, it was a terrible game. 120-111. They've now lost 3 in a row going into the All-Star break. And their 11-44 record, Fred, is the franchise worst ever at the All-Star break. They are so bad, it's hard to watch.
Well, I turned it off. They were down by like 21. I don't know how they got back to within 10 or 11 at the end. But a lot of conjecture. All right, so if you're Phil Jackson and you hire Derek Fisher, and now you get rid of Derek Fisher, my question is, did he get rid of Derek Fisher, or the Dolans get rid of Derek Fisher? And if it's the Dolans who got rid of Derek Fisher, Phil's not happy with the Knicks because he likes control. And I don't know we don't know what really happened. But my gut feeling is he's not going to admit an error after a year and a half. So he's at least going to let Derek play the 2 years out, in my opinion, because he hired him. He doesn't want to, he's got an ego. I mean, no question that Phil Jackson's got an ego.
Sure.
So let's say somebody above him, one of the Dolans said, you fire him, he's out, meaning Fisher. Okay, so now you're Genie Bus, and obviously your brother Jim has not gotten the job done. Your fiancé is Phil Jackson. Do you make a move? Do you tell Jimmy, please step aside, let Phil run it, or something?
Well, I would think that could get real messy contractually. I think Dolan signed Phil for a lot of years and a lot of money. Phil was supposed to have autonomy with no interference from the owner, and we know that does not work that way with the New York Knickerbockers in recent years. I would have thought that he would have given Fish to the end of the year. But they were on a bad skid. They had gotten above 500. They went on a bad skid. I think there's a potential there that wasn't being met. But that was a surprise to me. I would think it would be very difficult for Phil to get out of that contract, especially to come back to Los Angeles and take over in a similar position for the Lakers. I would imagine Dolan would fight him to the end of the earth to make sure he never got back to L.A. if he's going to break a contract with New York.
Let me just say this. I know we got to go to a break, but I don't think you can win with Carmelo Anthony.
I agree.
There are certain players who'll get the stats, they'll get their 20 points, and they'll get their 9 rebounds, and they'll get their 2 assists, but you won't win with them. There are certain players in this league, and I don't care, you can win on fantasy basketball, but you can't win on the court with these guys. Right. Phil walked into it. He knew he had Carmelo Anthony. So Derek Fisher knew he had Carmelo Anthony. Nobody's going to change Carmelo Anthony. He's Carmelo Anthony. He's going to take shots first. He's not going to think pass. And end of story. He's going to make the Hall of Fame because people are going to look at his stats, but he's not a winner.
Well, I said when Fish got the job, the best thing they could do would be to get rid of Carmelo.
Yeah.
Take any expectations off of Fisher for that first year and start over with a fresh young team. And yet, that wasn't the way they went, and now we see that Carmelo is still there, and Fish is not. So we'll have to see how this whole thing plays out. Kurt Rambis, our old buddy Kurt, is in as the interim head coach. I don't think he's in the running for the long-term job. I've heard names like Brian Shaw. I've heard Scott Brooks' name thrown out there as well. But you're going to have to find somebody who can harness Carmelo Anthony. And so far, there hasn't been a coach in the NBA who's been able to do that. We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll talk more about Kobe and the All-Star game and the Lakers and the Clippers involved in the All-Star weekend. It's all happening north of the border this weekend up in Toronto. Open season continues in just a moment.
If you're trying to prevent home foreclosure, you need a law firm with extensive experience representing clients in protecting their homes from foreclosure. The Goodman Law Firm is a nationwide team of mortgage mitigation attorneys that provides legal advice and expertise you can trust. Our nationwide network includes local of-counsel foreclosure attorneys to represent you during the mortgage mitigation process. The Goodman firm has represented homeowners across the nation in resolving their troubled mortgages. We have the experience and the knowledge you can count on to best represent your interests. The banks have attorneys fighting to protect their interests, and so should you. Call the Goodman Law Firm at 888-800-6030. Take control of your mortgage situation today. Contact us at 888-800-6030 or through our website at arnoldgoodmanlaw.com.
Have you ever gone to use a flashlight and the batteries were dead or the inside of the flashlight corroded, only having to throw it away? Or in a location where you had no way to charge your cell phone or camera? Well, all that has changed. Now there's Hybrid Light. The Hybrid Light brings the best of both worlds together with a strong 160-lumen LED light that lasts 12 hours on a single charge, and after a recharge from any light or power source, you're ready to go again. Hybrid Light lasts 7 long years and is even waterproof, and also contains a USB port to plug in your cell phone or camera to give you that special charge when you're not near an outlet. All this for the low price of $39.95 with promo code GARY. Call 1-800-297-8109 to be the first to have this great tool, or go to our website, hybridlight.com. That's 800-297-8109 or hybridlight.com, hybridlight.com, and don't forget to use promo code GARY.
9MD Beverly Hills provides skincare solutions for patients undergoing cancer treatments. Personalized treatment regimens are initiated to achieve optimum remission states in those dealing with cancer. The IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial at 9MD Beverly Hills safely offers hope and relief for those challenged with the side effects and repercussions of intense cancer treatments such as radiation and chemotherapy. Rejuvenate, replenish, and soothe your skin. Let our certified technicians at 9MD Beverly Hills safely and effectively heal your skin with our IS Clinical products that are pharmaceutical grade, botanically based, paraben free, and do not enter the bloodstream. Enjoy a day of pampering and revitalize your skin with 9MD Beverly Hills and our IS Clinical Harmony Cancer Care Facial for just $179. Each patient will receive a complimentary gift bag for take-home care. For more information, please call 310-777-7511 or visit us at www.9amd.com. That's www.nainamd.com.
I'm Kevin Harlan, and this open season show hits you right between the eyes. Let's get back to Larry, Fred, and Mark.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Open Season. Our buddy Kevin Harlan called the Super Bowl 50 on Westwood One Radio on Sunday, so put another notch in his portfolio. Our phone number here, 909-888-5222. You're invited to join us on the program, and you can call toll-free at 888-909-1050 as well. Larry and Fred here, we've put an APB out for the Madman, Mancini, and he'll be joining us if he gets the opportunity. If not, we'll check in with him next week. But let's get back to basketball a little bit here, Fred. Kobe, highest vote getter for the All-Star game this year. Listen, he's not having an All-Star year, but he's had an All-Star career. He's had a Hall of Fame career. 18th time in his 20 years he'll be a starter for the West squad in the game in Toronto. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the reception that he gets in that game on Sunday up in Toronto.
No, I think he'll get a very positive response. I mean, he's a all-time great. I've never been the biggest fan of him because I've always thought of him sort of as a me first type guy, and I'm always looking for the guy who passes first. But he's definitely a Hall of Famer. They won the 5 titles. He's going to get the big applause, and he deserves it. There's no question about that. I mean, will I watch the game? Maybe a quarter of the game. Hope he doesn't get hurt. Hope he plays well. Historically, a lot of times, or last season, the other guys let them score a few points, and they're in the voting for the most valuable player, and who knows about that. But, I mean, he deserves it. 20 years. Look, Peyton Manning should listen to Kobe Bryant. Kobe knows it's time. Peyton, it's time. Drink your Budweiser and leave me alone and have your Papa John pizza and enjoy your life and enjoy your kids. And I read a story that immediately he becomes the #1 color commentator on CBS.
And they're also talking about him as a possible owner. In ownership and a possible general manager. Apparently, he was very big with Bill Polian in Indianapolis about looking at talent and finding a good collegiate talent. And I'm waiting for the Papa John's commercial to come out where they've got the Budweiser with it.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be a link there somewhere. There's got to be some kind of a link along the way. Back to Kobe. Interesting situation for this guy, Fred. When you think how far down he was as far as popularity with the rape allegations in Colorado, the NBA took him off of their games. He was a pariah. And yet he's managed to get his endorsements back. He's managed to get his life back. And he's managed to become one of the faces of the NBA to the point where even in his worst season, the fans give him the most votes of anybody in the league to make sure he shows up in his final All-Star game. That is a major. Who is it that rose from the dead? Lazarus?
Yeah.
That's a Lazarus move there by Kobe Bryant.
No, it is. There's no question. I mean, for a year or two after the Denver, the Colorado situation, he certainly wasn't well liked. He got booed wherever he went, but it's turned around for him, and he's going to get applauded in Toronto, and every move he makes is going to get applauded, and I'm sure he'll have a pretty good game. Nobody plays any defense there, and again, the week after the Super Bowl, can it be any worse than the Super Bowl? Probably not. I know this: 111 million people will not be viewing it. A lot less than that, and should be an interesting weekend for Kobe Bryant. And again, anybody that survives 20 years in the NBA, 18 times a starter in the All-Star game, is doing something right on the court. Just because Fred thinks he's basically an egomaniac doesn't make it true. It's just my objective opinion.
And you got to wonder how things might have turned out differently if Jerry West doesn't make the trade with Charlotte and Kobe starts his career with the Charlotte Hornets. Who knows? He'll play on Sunday in the starting lineup for the West with Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook. Chris Paul from the Clippers will be a reserve, and Greg Popovich will be the head coach because Steve Kerr with Golden State was the All-Star coach last year, and you can't do it 2 years in a row despite the fact they've got this ridiculous 48-4 record at the All-Star break. Now, the other side of it is, on the East, Ty Lue, who used to play with Kobe with the Lakers, is going to coach the East squad despite the fact he's been on the job about 3 weeks after they blew out Blatt in Cleveland.
Well, what can you say? I mean, let's hope he has a good second half of the season. Let's see if he's a head coach one way or the other. There's no question about that. Obviously, LeBron blew out Dave Blatt, and who was 30-11 at the time when he was fired a few weeks ago. You know, you make a lot of money. It's a tough business, and we'll see how that goes. But let me just mention one thing about the NBA. ESPN is apparently, and I didn't see this, but somebody on Facebook sent it to me. ESPN has listed the top 100 players or top 50 players in the history of the NBA. And you know what I'm going to say here? They've got Elgin Baylor at number 24. Now, I'm sorry. They lose all relevance. They lose all credibility. I'm talking ESPN here. You cannot list Elgin Baylor at number 24. Now, I'm old enough to remember as a kid, Elgin Baylor, among the top 5 players of all time, 6'5", forward for the Lakers. Lakers had 2 centers, good centers, but not rebounding centers. They had Jimmy Krebs, the late Jimmy Krebs, Leroy Ellis. They were, they could score on the inside. They could shoot a little bit, but they're not going to rebound with the Chamberlains and the Nate Thurmans and the Bill Russell. So a 6'5" guy, Elgin Baylor, had to rebound with the 7-footers, and he did. He did. I don't know, just because maybe he became the general manager of the Clippers, maybe because he never won. When he retired, Jimmy McMillan took over. The streak starts with 33 straight game winning streak, and they win the title. Right. So maybe because he never really won a title. But Elgin Baylor is the reason that the NBA is so big here in Southern California. If Jerry West is there, West is not there if it's not for Elgin, and vice versa. Elgin Baylor, in my opinion, in my opinion, Oscar Robertson and Elgin Baylor are the best 2 players I've ever seen. But certainly in the top 5, impossible that ESPN rated on number 24.
Well, as we said in the past, a lot of these decisions and rankings are being made by people who did not see Elgin play or anybody play before 1980. So you have to take that into consideration. When you look at the weekend coming up in the NBA, man, it's always fun going to the All-Star game. You got the Skills Challenge on Saturday. D'Angelo Russell, who, by the way, got the wind knocked out of him last night in that game at Cleveland. He and Jordan Clarkson will be in the Rising Stars Challenge on Friday. Clarkson will be in the Skills Challenge on Saturday. What I like about the Skills Challenge this year, Fred, is this. It's not all guards. They've got DeMarcus Cousins in there. They've got Draymond Green in the competition, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns. I'm interested to see how some of these big guys compare with some of the guys who are supposed to be the skilled players.
And next year, Ben Simmons from LSU will be there, because here's a 6'10" guy or 6'11" guy who can do all the little things that the little guys can do. I'm looking forward to. I actually looking forward to the contest more than the game itself. It's fun to watch the outside shooting. It's a kick to see how many of 25-footers they can hit. By the way, a couple of games ago, now I forgot who they're playing, but Kobe's all of a sudden turned it on. He hit like 5 out of 6 in the last 2 or 3
had that
minutes.
38-point game.
And then he took a 30-foot shot. Then he took a 27-foot shot and missed him, of course. It's like, Kobe, please, come on. I understand you're hot, but see, here's the. I grew up where, you play 3-on-3 a lot. When you're first learning how to play, if the one guy of the 3 on your team shoots all the time, the other 2 guys, stop playing defense and don't move a lot. And so if you're a young player on the Lakers, and I know Kobe's hot, but he's got to pass the ball. Maybe somebody's open. Don McClain, does the bit for the Clippers, but he's talking about the Lakers. Let Russell just do his thing. He's talking to Byron Scott now. Let Russell do his thing and let him prove himself one way or the other. What do you think about that?
Well, that's that balancing act that Byron's got to deal with this year. They've got to pay homage to Kobe and give him every chance to maybe have a big game every once in a while, and yet he's supposed to bring the young guys around at the same time, and I'm not sure there's a way that it all works together unless Kobe's off the floor, and they've tried that with bringing Russell in, with the second unit and everything else. So I really think that Byron is on the clock here for the rest of this season to see if he can make that balancing act work, but I'm just not sure that it does. We'll come back and talk more about that. We'll talk about the Blake Griffin suspension that was handed down by the team in the NBA. Lots more ahead when we continue on this Thursday afternoon on Open Season, so stay with us.
Have you ever gone to use a flashlight and the batteries were dead or the inside of the flashlight corroded, only having to throw it away? Or in a location where you had no way to charge your cell phone or camera? Well, all that has changed. Now there's Hybrid Light. The Hybrid Light brings the best of both worlds together with a strong 160 lumen LED light that lasts 12 hours on a single charge, and after a recharge from any light or power source, you're ready to go again. Hybrid Light lasts 7 long years and is even waterproof, and also contains a USB port to plug in your cell phone or camera to give you that special charge when you're not flashlight corroded. All this for the low price of $39.95 with promo code GARY. Call 1-800-297-8109 for the first half of this great tool. Or go to our website, hybridlight.com. That's 800-297-8109 or hybridlight.com. HYBRIDLIT.com. You're ready to go, and don't forget to use promo code GARY.
Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511. Ever wonder how celebrities get their skin red carpet ready? Look no further than the Fire and Ice Facial from Is Clinical, available at Nina MD Beverly Hills. The Fire and Ice Facial is an amazing clinical treatment designed to rapidly and safely regenerate the skin, reducing fine lines and wrinkles for an envious glow, while smoothing and softening to achieve that ageless face. Excellent for all skin types and ages, Is Clinical's Fire and Ice Facial is a celebrity favorite and provides dramatic results with no downtime, peeling, or side effects. The Fire and Ice Facial is normally $215, but call 310-777-7511 now. Mention this ad and pay only $179. That's over $35 in savings just by mentioning this ad. Don't miss out on glowing and radiant skin from Is Clinical and Nina MD Beverly Hills. For more info, visit ninamd.com or call 310-777-7511. That's 310-777-7511.
All right, we're back once again on Open Season. Larry Burnett and Fred Wallen holding down the fort. Mancini off on this program. And we're talking about the NBA All-Star Weekend coming up in Toronto, and we're talking about the Skills Challenge. Just heard today that Patrick Beverley, the defending champion from the Houston Rockets, is probably going to miss the event because of an ankle. Fred, the dunk contest used to be the jewel of the weekend. And I don't want to sound like an old guy saying, I remember way back when, but I remember way back. I was there when Dominique was involved. I was there when Michael was, and Brent Barry, and I saw Kobe win, and I saw Kenny Skywalker win. And that's when the greats in the game took it seriously. This year you got Zach LaVine, who I like, UCLA, Minnesota. I think he's very talented. Aaron Gordon, Will Barton, and Andre Drummond. That's your star-studded cast for the dunk contest. And unless they're going to jump over a Kia, the way Blake Griffin did, I think they're going to bore me to tears again.
I can't disagree. Zach LaVine, of course, won it last year. You wonder if you're a UCLA fan if there was any chance of him playing 2 years at UCLA if he had gotten the opportunity to play point guard a little bit instead of Bryce Alford. So I'm always looking back at that. Probably not. Probably I think his parents knew he was leaving after one season. But he did win the slam dunk last year. Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, it's not the same. But again, just like we're saying, the younger kids are voting for Elgin Baylor, number 24. The older people like you and me are thinking back to when we were kids, and things stand out a lot more when you're younger than when you're older. Because again, to me, as a 5 and a 6 and a 7-year-old, Oscar and Elgin were my two favorite players, and we've had Michael, and we've had Magic, and we've had all the rest, but you're not going to top that in my head, and you just won't. And I think that goes for most young people. Things that happen when you see them young, they just stick longer. And I agree with you about the slam dunk. It's not what it was, but it fills the couple of days in Toronto. And,
yeah. Well, and as you pointed out, the three-point shootout should be good this year because they do have star players in it. Stephen Curry is back again to defend his championship. You got James Harden in it, Klay Thompson this year, Chris Middleton from Milwaukee, Kyle Lowry, the Toronto guy, J.J. Redick for the Clippers, excellent outside shooter, Chris Bosh, and Devin Booker, the rookie with the Phoenix Suns. So, that one kind of captures the imagination. We go into the break, Fred. Golden State, 48-4, best record in the league. Philadelphia, 8-45, the worst record in the NBA. And the Clippers go in 35-18. They're number 4 in the West. They lost last night in overtime to Boston, 139-134. They blew a 5-point lead in regulation, at a 6-point advantage in overtime, and still managed to lose. People still talking about Blake Griffin, and we talked last week about, come on, Clippers, let's not wait until you know when Blake Griffin is going to be healthy and then try to figure out how long his suspension should be. Let's make a decision now. Make a rule. Make set a standard. And they, I guess in association with the NBA, came up with a 4-game suspension. Do you think it was enough for him punching out the assistant equipment manager?
Well, how do we know for sure when he's ready to play?
Well, that's another question.
You see what I'm saying?
That's another question. And I guess Doc was asked that. And they said, would you kind of fudge it so that you can add these on and not take more time away? And Doc said, well, that would make me appear dishonest. and he's saying that he's not. But listen, they're trying to deal with getting into the playoffs and winning a championship. They're a better team when Blake Griffin is there, despite the record that they've had without him. So nothing would surprise me about trying to parcel this thing so that he misses the fewest games possible.
And on the league and the Clippers have fined and suspended him. Now, on a personal basis, how much money is he going to have to pay the assistant equipment manager? You know there's going to be a suit. $100,000, $200,000, $250,000. Just come up with a number. I don't know.
My guess would be this. These guys were buddies. And we've all been in situations where buddies start saying things to each other, and all of a sudden it gets heated. And then you become buddies again. Usually you don't punch the guy in the face twice in the process. But my guess would be, listen, Griffin's going to lose almost $1 million. Almost $1 million with the suspension and the game pay that they're taking away. My guess he gets together with this Testy and says, hey, here's $100,000. Here's whatever it takes to make this thing stay out of court and get it back. My understanding is they'll both be back with the team in the family after the All-Star break. So we'll see how that plays out along the way. I want to talk about Pat Hayden because we've talked a lot about him, and we hope he's doing well. The guy had an episode and had to go to the hospital on Wednesday, some kind of a procedure. We know he's got a pacemaker. He's had some health problems. In the past, we've talked about should he retire or not, and he decided to retire at the end of this year. And now there's a lot of health questions along the way as well. What do you read into this whole thing, Fred?
What I read into this is that a lot of people live a lot longer, heart problems or not, if they're working versus they retire and then, God forbid, something bad happens because they're so depressed.
Yeah.
That has to play into this. If you're out there and you're listening to the show and you're depressed, you understand what I'm trying to say. I know enough people in my lifetime that were doing much better, even though they had some illness, when they were working. As soon as they stop working, they pass away much sooner than maybe they would have if they continued to work. It's a very delicate line. So maybe he does, like they said, for another year, he's going to help the Coliseum rebuild. At least that's something.
And less stressful, I would think.
Stressful. If I'm Pat Hayden and I'm Pat Hayden's family, I wouldn't just put a line and say, you're not working anymore. Keep him doing something. Keep him involved with the USC program in some manner, shape, or form. I just think in the long run, historically, numerically, you live longer, you have a better life, than just stop it because he's not used to that. And he can become very depressed very easily.
Yeah. The one thing that should keep him smiling has been the play of the USC hoop squad. Andy Enfield's got him doing really well.
Don't remind me. Folks, folks, the reason don't remind me is, as you know, folks, if you're listening to this show or have ever heard me before, I've been a Bruin fan since the age of 5. Last time I checked, let's see, 3 years ago, Steve Alford was available, Andy Enfield was available, and what direction did Dan Guerrero, the UCLA athletic director, take? Well, let's see. I'll take the bigger name. I'll take Steve Alford, who is a much better shooter than Andy Enfield. I don't question that at all. He's a much better shooter than Andy Enfield. However, since this is a coaching job, I probably would have taken the better coach. And
now look at the numbers. You got USC ranked number 23 by AP this week. They're 18-5. They're 7-3 in the conference. They're in second place behind Oregon. And you look at UCLA, they're 13-10 and 4-6 in the conference, and both teams playing at the Arizona schools this weekend. But it sure seems as though you got USC going on an upward slope, and I'm not sure. It's just like a bumpy road for UCLA. I can't figure out what they're doing.
Friday they play Arizona. That one is on ESPN. They'll be 4-7. They got a shot against Arizona State, so they'll be 5-7 most likely at the end of this week. Look, I'm pretty objective about this. This is not the most talented UCLA team in history. but they're as talented as USC. They shouldn't lose by 14 and 19 to the Trojans. Those games should go down to the last few minutes. If SC wins them both, fine. If they split them, fine. If UCLA wins them both, fine. They're not a 19 and a 14-point differential between USC and UCLA. It's the coach. The coach, the coach, the coach. USC is talented, but they're not that much more talented than UCLA. I'm almost embarrassed, to tell you the truth. And again, Bryce Alford should not be playing 37 minutes a game. And if you're playing against any team, Larry, that has three guards, that is playing three guards, you can't play Bryce Alford against any of them because he can't guard any of them.
Hey, in the final minute or so that we have here, I want to just talk about two people that passed away. Marge Hearn at the end of January, Chick's wife, 98 years old, had a great life, and Chick would tell you over and over and over again how important she was to him and his career and the success that he had. And I was there at the hospital with Marge and the family the day that Chick died. And this is a great lady. This was just a great lady. Always had a smile, and just a fascinating lady. And we're short on time, but I worked on the Laker broadcasts on radio for a lot of years and worked on the Sparks broadcast on KLAC for many years. And Frank Pollock was Chick used to call him everything. He said he was the producer, he was the executive producer, he was the technical director, whatever he was. He was the guy behind the scenes for the Laker radio broadcast for years and years and years ago. And Frank passed away on February 6th from a heart attack. Worked very closely with him for so many years and always had a smile. He was playing hockey up until he died at the age of 62. And I just want people to realize how important people are and how short life is. And I'll tell you one thing about Frank Pollock before I go. He went to one concert in his entire life. It was the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl in 1964.
Well, if you're going to go to one concert, you can't do any better than that.
And fish across the coast in California will be much happier because Frank won't be picking them out of the water. He actually took me fishing one day, and neither one of us caught a doggone thing, and he loved to fish. Fred, thanks for the time. Back next week with Mark Mancini. I'm Larry Burnett. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into Open Season. Until we see you next week, get out there and try to have some fun, okay?
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living?
KCAA Loma Linda, News Talk Radio for the Inland Empire.
Just above $26 a barrel. But late reports say OPEC may be ready to discuss curbing crude production, which would boost oil prices and beaten down energy company shares. Meantime, stocks fell for the fourth straight session today on worries about slowing global growth around the world. The Dow down another 254 points, the Nasdaq down just 16, but gold prices hit a one-year high, $1,248 an ounce. Financial stocks have been particularly hard hit this year, and in the show of confidence, J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon today announced he's buying 500,000 shares of his own bank, worth about $23 million. Initial jobless claims last week down by 16,000, hitting a low for the year. And mortgage rates dropped for a sixth week straight, down to 3.65% for a 30-year fixed loan. Tom Busby.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. With one phone call, you'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information. It's a free service, so call now.
800-391-1755. 800-391-1755.
Did you know 1 in 50 people has a brain aneurysm? Every 18 minutes, a brain aneurysm erupts. Half of brain aneurysms result in death. Will it strike you or someone you love? The Brain Aneurysm Foundation is the globally recognized leader in brain aneurysm education, awareness, advocacy, support, and research funding. The Brain Aneurysm Foundation, raising awareness, ending fear. To learn the facts at bafound.org. That's bafound.org.
Hi, Pat Matthews again. I want to talk to you about selling online. And when I say selling, I'm talking about your home, your car, and even buying a house or a new set of wheels. There's a new kid in town. and that's buysellmakeoffer.com. The revolution has already begun, and I invite you to be a part of it. You see, get in on the ground floor because buysellmakeoffer.com never charges item fees. Can you imagine what the other guys might charge you for selling a car on their site, let alone a house? Well, buysellmakeoffer.com doesn't do that. And you can use Skype and YouTube videos to sell your products, big or small. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and set up your account. For as little as $7.95 per month, you can sell up to 50 items, and they'll give you the first 30 days free just to try it out. Remember, no per item fees. Join the revolution today. buysellmakeoffer.com and tell them Pat Matthews sent you.
Good afternoon. It's 4:03. I'm Di Rice with the very latest in live, local, national, and international news here on KCAA, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. The State Department has until the end of the month to release any emails from Hillary Clinton's private server. The order from the U.S. District Court Judge Rudolph Contreras says the remaining emails need to be released in 4 batches between Saturday and February 29th. The judge says 550 of Clinton's emails must be released by Saturday. Other batches will be made public on the 19th and the 26th of this month. And yesterday here at home at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon, a female juvenile was walking home from Barton Elementary School in San Bernardino, and she was approached by a male subject on the west side of the 6300 block of Arden Avenue as she was heading northbound. In English and Spanish, the suspect asked the girl if she needed a ride home. The victim was able to get away from the suspect as she attempted to get help from nearby residents. The suspect drove off and was last seen headed south toward Highland Avenue in San Bernardino. The driver was driving an older model white compact 4-door vehicle, and anyone with information regarding this investigation is urged to call the WeTip hotline, 800-78-CRIME, or to go to the WeTip.com website. Inland Empire weather, sunny and beautiful all week long. Highs into the mid to upper 80s. Overnight lows about 52 degrees tonight. We do have a possibility of some rain in the forecast by mid next week, but until then, sunny and very nice. Right now, it's 87 degrees here in San Bernardino. And checking out your drive. In San Bernardino, there is an accident blocking the left lane of the 210 eastbound right before Highland Avenue. That is a crash, and traffic is backed up to H Street. Also, through the Cajon Pass, there is a disabled vehicle on the shoulder of the 15 northbound just past Kenwood, so shouldn't slow you down too much, but you know how that is. Even if it's off to the shoulder, there's a little bit of slowness in the area. Other than that, stop and go 15 north from the 60 to 4th, and then once again from Glen Helen Parkway to Kenwood. Southbound side is slow from the 10 to 2nd, and then once again from the 91 to Cajalco. Through Colton, 215 southbound is a bit busy between Mount Vernon and Barton Road as norm. And also the northbound 215 is slow from Cactus to University, and the 60 east slow from Pyrite to the 215. That's the very latest with news, weather, and traffic on the station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. This report has been brought to you by Citrus Ford. At Citrus Ford through February 15th, lease a 2016 Fusion SE for 36 months for $199 a month, plus tax, no money out of your pocket. That's Citrus Ford, and this is KCAA.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Stephanie Miller Show.
Yes, it is the Stephanie Miller Show. Welcome to it. Happy Thursday, everybody. Big Thursday show. 323-468-1135. Well, I don't know if you saw this, Jim. The Senate has passed a bill to hit North Korea with harsher sanctions. That will not be necessary when Donald Trump is president because he said he's going to kill him. He's going to have him assassinated.
I can't believe that. Going to have him killed, and then I'm going to blow up the whole place. In fact, let's blow up South Korea while we're at it. Why not?
Well, you know what this means,
But,
Steph?
there's people that all look alike.
Well, this means his poll numbers go up today.
Right through the roof. He, seeking to derail North Korea's drive for nuclear weapons, Republican and Democratic senators set aside their partisan differences once and for all to pass legislation aimed at starving Pyongyang of money it needs to build
Pyongyang.
an atomic arsenal. But that's just all. That's all establishment politics and stuff. When I get in.
It's not manly.
That's not winning. It's not
Winning.
being here.